Okay, first thing I want to do is write down the formula. Let's zoom in. Okay, so F inverse prime is going to be 1 over F prime F inverse of X. They usually will always want to find, oh shoot, I wrote that for number 1. They usually will only ask you for the derivative at a single location rather than us finding like derivative equations. Whenever they're doing derivative of an inverse, the only questions I've ever seen have been like at a single location, single number. And now that I put all this down, let me move it to question 2. I forgot question number 1, they just wanted you to find an inverse. I need you guys to realize that you don't actually have to find an inverse equation for any of these problems. So this is just probably reminding you back from Algebra 2. Did you do inverse and pre-calc a little bit? Did you do f of g and g of f to prove it was inverse or something? Okay. All right, so it says let f of x equal x cubed plus x. If g is f inverse, so they're using g, and g of 2 equals 1, what is the value of g prime of 2? Maybe I should ask, do you guys even want me to start from the beginning as to how these work? Like, should I not do derivatives yet? Do you want me to talk about inverse first? Sure. On this first page, I think there was a graph, wasn't there? Maybe I'm thinking of the AP Classroom one. Okay, I'll just use that graph right there to explain inverse and inverse derivatives. So first thing, inverse is mirror image around y equals x. Okay, so if you have any random graph, let's do an exponential. That was a terrible graph. We'll go with it. So let's pretend this is f of x. G of x, or f inverse, would just be the mirror image around this dotted line. So it would follow this one and probably like that. Something close. That's probably the best mirror image I'm going to be able to draw. The part about this that you guys would have never thought about before is slopes. Let's pretend we have the point 1, 3 on f of x. I brought it back. I know you're super excited. Oh, do you need the packets?
Yeah.
Didn't Stouffer give them to you?
I have that.
Okay. I have the notes and the homework packets separate. If I'm out of them, I can get the PDF as well. I think he printed his separate as well. 3.3. Okay, perfect. Winston, where are you? Perfect, Winston. If the point 1, 3 is on f of x, which point would be on the inverse?
3, 1.
Perfect. You're just going to swap the numbers, and the location would be the mirror image around the dotted line as well. So, I mean, like, that's the basics of inverse. All of the numbers are swapped. Let's make up a slope at the point 1/3. And we'll make it very specific so that it's easy to tell the info, but like I would have absolutely just estimated a slope of 1 right here, but doesn't matter. Okay, so let's pretend this is the tangent line, and the slope on f of x at the point 1, 3 is some number in between 1 and 2. Let's make it 7/5. Sounds good. Okay, slope is 7/5. Over at the point 3, 1, I would be able to figure out the slope on the inverse because I know the slope on the original. And that is going to be Ryan. Over there. Okay, Ryan, what would be the slope on the inverse function at 3, 1? Perfect. Amelia. Do you remember when you first learned slope? Like, what was the phrase that you were told to remember slope when you first learned it? Perfect. Rise over run. And they basically told you rise over run because it would have been way more confusing to say the change in y over the change in x. Even though that's kind of how you learned it later, right? So the 7 is how much your y values have changed. The 5 was how much your x values have changed. And if you do an inverse, the whole point of an inverse is you're swapping the x and y's. So that would mean your inverse slope has the x's and y's flipped upside down. So 5/7 should make sense if you kind of like put all that together, but inverse can absolutely mess with your brain if you're trying to think of it too hard, especially in the middle of a problem. So this is the basics of where the derivative formula comes from. So 1/, is the math way of telling you how to flip a fraction upside down. So you basically are going to be finding the slope of the original function on the bottom and then flip it upside down. That's what this formula does. Okay, so it gives us some of the info to start with, and here's the nice thing for you guys. If this is a non-calculator question, the answer to all of these will be x equals 1, 2, 3, or x equals -1, -2, -3. They are purposely going to pick equations and inverses that fit nicely. You are not going to have to do a lot of mental work to figure out the answers. If it's a non-calculator question. Okay, so f of x is x cubed plus x. Let's just start with the inside first. Then let's find f inverse of 2. Okay, so f inverse of 2 is going to equal something. I wrote prime on accident, sorry. How do we figure out f inverse of 2?
You look at the g of x, which is equivalent to inverse of f.
They told us f inverse of 2? Why would they do that?
Yeah, and then
Pretend you don't see that.
pretend you don't see that. Then what you would do is you look at f of x and take the x values and substitute as y, and take the y values and substitute it as x, and then you solve for y that way.
You said it correctly. I think you probably lost everybody else, but you said it.
May I have gone up to the board later?
No, but good thinking. Okay, f inverse of 2, if you're trying to find that answer, you want to figure out when f is equal to 2. Because the whole idea with the inverse is you're swapping their numbers. So if I write f inverse of 2 equals something, That means I need to find the x value that equals 2. This is where it comes in, where I was telling you, this is where the answer will always be 1, 2, or 3, or -1, -2, -3. The AP is setting these questions up to go fast if you know how to do them. And so that will always be the answer, is nice, easy numbers. Because otherwise, inverse answers can be horrible. Okay, so I need to find when x cubed plus x is equal to 2. I am not going to do factoring or anything like that. The answer is going to be 1, 2, or 3, or negative. So you should just be able to plug numbers in your head really fast. And then right away you should be able to figure out x is 1. Okay, so this question mark is 1. So I am going to erase f inverse of x, and I'm going to put an answer of 1. I can't believe they told it to you in the sentence. That's just cheating. All right, let's scroll the wheel to find out who's going to tell me how to find f prime of 1. Because we're just going to take this a little bit at a time. If you try to do the whole thing in your head. Okay, Rowan, how do we find f prime of 1? Like, don't even worry about what the problem is. Don't worry about any details. If you had this written out, how would you go about finding f prime of 1? What's f prime?
3x squared.
Perfect.
Plus 1.
Perfect. So they will give you f of x. It's the only work you're going to have to do is the derivative, like Rowan just did. That's the majority of the work in these problems. Okay, so f prime of x is 3x squared plus 1, and I need to find f prime of 1. So it's 4. So apparently there's a slope of 4 at x equals 1. And the inverse at x equals 2 would be 1/4. Because f prime of 1 was 4. So once you figure out how to read these equations, they're not bad. But just being given the equation absolutely can feel confusing at first. And it's been a long time since you guys did anything with inverse. And the inverse trig in 3.4 has nothing to do with inverse, except for it's called inverse trig. Like the derivative has nothing to do with it, the inverse part. Okay. Are we feeling a little more confident on it? Probably.
Yes.
Let's try 3. Do you guys want to try 3 on your own for a minute?
Sure.
Okay.
That way you can look at it, read the numbers.
Sorry, was it my background cool? Guys, what are you guys all starting with? Okay. Awesome.
I'd start with by writing down the formula.
Okay.
Fill out any numbers you know.
I was asking my peers.
We know. The rest of the class heard it though. Okay, we got you.
We're missing our other fellow bachelor.
Wait, are you sure it would just be 5?
No, 5, that's.
Oh yeah, and then that's 7.
Yeah. So you're like.
1 over 7. But negative.
Things are happening. That's the problem.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, have any of my peers completed?
No, it's not.
Oh, 9. No, it's 5. I was like, yeah, I need to Okay.
Okay, so first thing we should find, F inverse of 1. How do we find that from the table? Because the table doesn't give us inverse answers, it only gives us prime answers. Good, good, good. So you're trying to find when it's equal to 1, which would be right there. So then the answer would be? Perfect. So the inverse information, you're going to swap the X and the Y columns. And that's traditionally what they will do on the AP test, is they will give you a table that has F, and you have to figure out F inverse from that. Okay, it's good. So we are on 1 over F prime of 5. And yes, they were cruel because they included the 1 under the X to confuse those who would accidentally write that. I will not try to call out those people that did that. So then F inverse of 5 is just directly on here, -7. Did I say inverse?
Yeah.
F prime of 5. Okay? Once you get the hang of these, they absolutely go quick. They're very fast. Like there's not much to them once you figure it out. This one looks like it should be horrible because the equation is super long. But it's not, because the answer will be a 1, a 2, or a 3. And honestly, I don't think it'll ever be a 3. It'll usually be a 1 or a 2. Find the equation of the line tangent to the inverse of F at the point -4. Should I give you a couple minutes to try this one? Go ahead. Go ahead. I was about to just start doing it, and then I realized you probably wanted to try it.
So you go. Wait, I thought you find the slope first. So where'd you find the slope?
You have to figure out where to find the slope, though. That's the problem.
Wait, could you find the slope by doing?
Well, you find the slope at 0.
Yep.
Plugging in that.
Nope.
No?
You have to find the number to plug in there first. Oh, yeah, because they gave you the whole point. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, usually they don't give you the point. Usually you have to figure that part out.
So wait, if they didn't give you the point, how would you figure it?
That is what the equation is.
So you just find the point.
One is kind of oh, I'm right. I feel that those things
Y minus.
Oh wait, it has to equal zero.
Yeah, I forgot, you don't even have to figure this one out because they gave you the full point. Usually they just give you the x value. They gave you the point -4, 0, so you already know the inverted info.
How did you get the?
So it's just Y.
Oh, because how did you get the inverse of y?
So -4, 0 is the inverted point. And so on regular f, it would be 0, 4, -4. The 0, -4 would be the point on the original function. Normally, they don't give you the full point. Normally, they give you just an x value, so you have to figure out the y. But since they gave you the full point, you don't even have to do the work of figuring things out. I don't think it would have been hard for you to figure out 0, though, to know when it equals -4. So you basically were able to plug 0 into the formula right away. And then f prime of 0 is putting 0 into the derivative, so it's 1. And the actual question asked for the tangent line. So we needed the slope to write the tangent line. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. A little over 10 minutes.